Danielle, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very
Thanks for
good.
having me.
Yeah, good. We were just talking off air that we're connected by a fellow friend, Michael Shine, who was on the podcast some months ago, and he highly recommended that you and I speak. So here we are.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited.
It's good. I've done my research, and I know that the big thing that you talk about is ideas last, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to leave that because I want to know more about you. Tell us a bit about you. Tell us a bit about your journey.
I went to school for engineering in college years and years ago. And I would say that was sort of happenstance. It was, you're kind of in high school, you're like, well, I should go to college. What should I do? It's like, well, I'm good at math and science, so I should go to engineering school.
Yep.
And kind of got my first job same kind of way, just, oh, here's a job. You got to get a job. You went to college, better get a job now. Um, so I feel like I sort of accidentally fell into software development. And after those first couple years of bumbling through my career, I started realizing I really like this. I love taking technology and putting it together in ways that satisfy problems, that solve problems for people. So I really kind of dug into that path and just, I started doing more and more sophisticated things, and then started floating up from builder to architect level to, okay, now I can actually look at a problem and put a whole solution together. So that's kind of how I got to where I am with the tech, working with the tech development, software development platforms, that kind of thing.
I love that because I think there's a fine balance between being really techy and being really good with the tech versus being able to see the bigger problem that you're part of solving. And I think that is what kind of then bridges the human gap within tech, which is the ability to communicate. Is that something that you found?
Yeah. And what I discovered, I could at the very lowest level create these little bits of hardware that or software that made the hardware work. But what I really loved was watching people use what I made and realizing, oh, this could be way better. Like people are struggling with this. They don't get it right away. They don't understand how to use something, but also just by observing, stepping back and observing what people are doing, you realize that the thing you built might have a better purpose for some other problem. So and all of that kind of puzzle solving and jiggering, that was the part that really excited me about tech.
And as I understand it now, you're out, but you consult and you support startups. I understand. What is it that you help them with?
So the best value that I bring to a startup company is against this sort of high level vision of, someone has an idea and they may have it on their paper napkin, or they may have even built a beta test, right? But they don't know how to take that from the idea to commercial production. And there's, it's not just a matter of hiring, $1 million worth of software engineers to get the job done. It's about taking the tools that you have and the resources at every step, and then being able to merge them together in a way that solves a problem that's addressing business case, your budget, and some sort of market fit. So it's a constant evolution. It's tiny steps, it's little jiggers here and there that sort of get you to a good place. But if you don't understand how to do it, it's a tough slog. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs with great ideas that are sort of just being fleeced by, people that are like, oh, I can solve that problem. And you spend millions of dollars, just trying to build something, and that something doesn't actually work for customers or clients, or no marketplace fit, that kind of thing.
Mm. I've recently read a book by Adam Grant, and he talks about one of the greatest leadership traits we should look to develop is the ability to think again. And I was reading one of your Medium posts, and you talked about this idea mindset and some of the flaw. What are some of the flaws in having a fixation on ideas?
Um, I think that, I mean, the biggest flaw is you just not building something people want, right? I've had so many, I've had a lot of interesting experiences along the way
Mm-hmm.
where I've seen companies just completely implode because they're unwilling to adapt
Mm,
to what the user wants, what the customer wants, and the market fit. So it's hard. um so you're an entrepreneur, you had this great idea and you're very passionate about the idea, which is what's going to bring everyone into the journey, but it maybe needs to just be tweaked a little bit here and there to really provide the kind of the outcome that's going to create a good business for you. So I had two I had one early on. I was doing some work for freelance development work for equity in a company, and the guy had a great idea, and we had built this elegant solution with really cost effective, and he was so fixated on his idea that he refused to see how much value we could have brought to first responders, and he couldn't take it. I mean, he ended up, I've never seen a group of mature people behave so badly in my life. It just, the board just like kaboom, the guy went into hiding. He
wow.
like, but he buried himself in his basement and he had all the IP tied up. So we just spent all this time creating this beautiful product, and it's just going to get deleted.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow. So that's a case where somebody, they wouldn't adapt. And I've seen other cases of the same thing. There another company in New York that we were thinking about acquiring, had this mindset of being unwilling to change their product. And the woman, they had a great product, and she had maybe some sort of social clout because she had brought her dream to life, but her dream wasn't making money.
Mm,
And they had, $4 million in investment plowed into this. And in the end, they just shut it down
wow.
because, and it was a great solution. And there were so many ways that the product could have gone, and
Mm.
they were just unwilling to listen and make the change.
I remember when I first read Michael's The Hype Handbook, and one of the first principles, and it was make war, not love. And obviously, you could see on my logo, I was like, I was like, this guy, I was like, this guy's triggering me. And the same happened, and obviously I spoke to him, and the heart of his message came through as I spoke to him. But the same happened to me when I saw your concept, because so often we're taught that that a great leader leads with a vision, leads with an idea, and that here you are saying that there are some pitfalls and some flaws around leading with an idea. So what is at the heart of your framework? What is at the heart of your solution?
So, I mean, it's a combination of, examining the idea, examining the market, and then, putting something into production. Doesn't have to be beautiful. And
Mm,
then really listening to and observing your customers and your key customers, and, going after those first, get 5 people who love you and
mhm,
watch what they do with your product and see if they get it, if they understand how to use it and they're using it the way it's intended.
mm,
And then just keep making this sort of iterative loop of, okay, well, that this part worked, but having the humility or the coachability to understand part of this doesn't work, and we either need to
Mhm.
dump it or we need to tweak it. And it's okay to dump it. It's totally fine. A really great team is going to have success. And maybe it's, you have success with a product that you never even started out to build, but it's still successful. So I think, it's hard to I can't give you a formula of what it is, but it's a lot of observation, research and observation, and putting it into practice, and then trying again,
Mm.
and not trying to do too much at the same time,
Yeah.
because, again, like you probably talk to plenty of entrepreneurs, they have all these great ideas, and there's like a list a mile long of we're going to do this, and we're going to tackle this and this and this and
Yeah.
this and this. It's like, whoa, let's pick one primary thing and see
Yeah.
how that goes, and then we'll use some of your other ideas if things look promising.
I think the reason it's powerful from my perspective is that it really acknowledges that the purpose of business is not to make profit. That's part of the fuel, but the purpose of business is to solve problems, and I think when we remember that, people have problems and therefore business is about people, it's run by people, for people, with people. I guess taking the focus off the idea takes it off a person and back onto people, because an idea is unique to a person, I guess.
That's absolutely right. And that's a really great way to look at it. It's you're not, once I've had that idea, I should take a back seat. I don't need to have my ego stroked every day. What I want is to see a million, like even 10 people who love what I'm doing,
Mm,
or,
mm,
then 100, and then 1,000. But I have, it's no pride of ownership. Like you just like, okay, this would be a great idea. Let's see if it works. And then, okay, well, the baby was ugly, let's get rid of it, and let's go in a different direction. And suddenly you've got
yeah.
people, lots of happy people.
And you talked about ego as well, because sometimes the ego of a leader is they got to be the one to do and implement. And we know from so many psychometric profiles, like the work of Carl Jung, is that the personality type that are a lot more likely to have the ideas are least likely to also have the personality type of being able to implement, to strategize, to work out the best way of doing it. How do you work with a group of individuals then to help them collaborate around this idea?
Well, I would say, there's a reason. I was just sort of thinking about this in the last week or so. There's a reason that investors or incubators ask who's on your team and what do they do,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it really makes, I was talking to this young team the other day, and everyone thought they were the visionary, and it's like, well, you can't all be the visionary. Someone has to, like, tell me in your own words what you do and what you like to do. And me looking at the team members and observing them when they're talking, you can tell when they're talking about the thing they really like to do. And then you can sort of say, okay, you're the builder, you're the architect, you're the visionary, you're the people person.
Hmm.
So let's see if we can, like, work with those classifications, and see if, are we happy in these roles. And then from there, you're able to take the team and divide up the work so that they're each doing something that adds significant value, but they're good at what they're doing, and they're not trying to be something that they want to be based on a title. They're doing something that makes sense for them.
Yeah, and I think the great bond between a team will be trust, but nothing's going to destroy that trust quicker than blame. And I know that's something you talk quite a bit about. What are your experiences and observations around blame in the ballroom?
Well, as long as you're not in the crossfire, it could be rather amusing, but not in a kind of a dark way amusing. But I, no, I mean, I honestly think that boards don't just implode in a moment, right? These things come. I think you can tell if you're with your co-founders or your founding team or a team. I think that it's you can be aware of sort of the bad apple, and certain negative thinking, and I think that I've also observed a lot of really amazing teams, and those amazing teams spend time working on being an amazing team. They set up systems to support each other, and they believe that they are better as a group than they are as individuals. And it's a circle of respect and trust. And if you have one person that doesn't have that sort of built-in respect of others, that's the person that's going to cause the problems. So, really, I think my approach has always been, if someone gives me a bad feeling, we'll just shake hands and not work together. As people on my team and people that have been my mentors and people that have helped me, I've always looked for people that are supportive of me and respect me and talk to me, as a peer. And you can sort of tell the people who aren't going to behave that way. I think it's tough for less experienced and young teams to really understand that you maybe have someone in that group who's not of that same mindset. And also younger people are a little more, a little less foam rubber, maybe a little more spirited. So you have to gotta give a little leeway for that. But I feel that there's no place for blame. Everyone, you get there together, and you either win or succeed. You succeed or fail together, and it's about respect and support for one another. No one sets out to do something stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying is that the ultimate long-term success is not about the quality of the idea. It's about the quality of the leadership of the group and the way that they work together to take the idea into something that really adds value into the world.
Right. Yeah. And the best teams are coachable. They're like, we want some input on what we're doing, and we want to understand how to build good products, and we want to respect each other. We want to spend a little time on personal professional coaching. I think there's a huge value for that, and I've seen only success with teams that use coaches and for themselves or for their team.
Yeah, that's powerful. I really believe in a sense of fun and enjoyment in your work. That's not to belittle any challenges and problems that there might be, but I think it's always approached better with a lighthearted spirit and an enjoyment for what you do. And you talk about finding the intersection between the idea and the playground. And I like this idea of the playground. Like, bring that to life for us. What does it mean to find the intersection of the idea and the playground?
So, yeah, I mean, the playground is another word for the market. It's just a better metaphor in my mind, because it leaves more open to your imagination. When you think about I'm taking a product to a market, you're thinking of a specific industry, and you're thinking of a way to make this idea solve a problem in this space. But in reality, your idea, your industry or your market doesn't have to be a finite thing. It can be you just have to think about it as a space. It go on and on in either direction, and you can take you can move your idea to a different industry or a different market based on what you're seeing. You can build great tech, you can have great building blocks, and if you've done that and you're open-minded, you could kerplunk this into different spots without a lot of change. It's just it's about finding the best place for what you've built for your product to thrive and become a real business. It doesn't, I think there's plenty of great success stories where they're they've found a niche for the product, but doesn't mean that that's where that idea is going to land forever and ever. It's just a great starting place.
Mm. I love that. Just symbolizes a fun place to go connect with people, and how can you serve someone's needs and problems if you don't connect and understand those people, right?
Right. So I think about it in two ways. One is the macro level of the big picture, and one's the micro level. So at the macro level, I think about every time I reach a decision of something, I could do one of two things. I have two choices. What choice is going to provide me with the most options in the end? So I just feel like, my life has been a series of these deliberate choices. I mean, as I said early on, some of them were a little haphazard, but after getting into my career, I started making choices that would leave me with the most options in the end. So I feel like today, what I'm going to be able to do is based on all of my yesterdays, for however many years, and I've left myself with options. So that's kind of been my micro approach. And even when I'm counseling my kids on, what colleges to go to, what careers to take, I say, think about what's going to give you the most options in the end, not the easy way, probably not the easy way. And then from a micro level, I think about, put yesterday into perspective, right? Yesterday isn't going to make or break you. It's like, being on a diet. One day of bad food's not going to be terrible. 30 days is not so great, but you can't, every yesterday can't be the best day of your life or the worst day of your life. And I just think like, okay, well, things might have gone great yesterday, or things might have gone garbage yesterday, but today it's a new day, and I just need to move on from there. And it'll be okay. No matter what I do today, it'll be all right. So it's funny because I feel like, I don't know if you golf or any golfers, but I've just started golfing, and people who golf crack me up because they'll have like an amazing round, and then they're on top of the world for that day, but then all the next 10 times they golf, they're ticked off because they didn't have this amazing experience. Or they'll have like a horrible day of golf, and they'll be like, oh, I'm done golfing. I'm a terrible golfer. This is never going to happen again. It's like, well, that neither one of those is realistic. You can't have your best day every day. And you also are not going to stop golfing because you had one bad day. And then thirdly, like, come on, you're golfing. What's the big deal?
Do you know what? And I think sometimes this is about, we pay too much attention to the outcomes. Whereas I know what you talk a lot about is focusing on the inputs, and actually being better than yesterday is sometimes just focusing on better inputs.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You just, it's a new day. Give it a new go. Fresh perspective.
Let go of the results, let go of the outcome, and be better on the inputs. Thank you. I really like the way you separated that into micro, macro. Where can our audience connect with you? Where can they find out more about you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and my website is just daniellegillespie.net. And there I talk a little bit about the ideas first framework and how I got there. And then there's some links to Medium articles that explain it. But I mean, that's really, if someone was interested in understanding more about what I do, or if they have, they're in a situation where they would like to have someone kind of untangle a million inputs and decide what to do next. That's what I'm really good at. And that's how people could connect with me. I'm also in the process of launching a podcast to talk to entrepreneurs who have done a good job of this ideas last kind of thought process. And just, I think it's helpful just for startup companies just to listen to other people's journeys and understand it takes a long time. And it's okay to make a mistake.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Love that. I'll add all the links in the show notes. I would be honored if you leave us with a final thought from your good self.
Oh, and what topic?
Anything you like, anything that's on your heart and your mind right now.
Just have fun. I mean,
Mm,
don't take life too seriously. I'm a pretty intense person,
mhm.
but I really do try to laugh as often as I can, and do silly things and goof around, and honestly, I do try to make sure that I express a fair amount of gratitude every day, because
Mm.
even I'm wired a little bit dark, and I find that the gratitude does in fact make me feel better. So there's something to it.
You've worked in tech for far too long.
Yeah.
It's all those dark rooms. Amazing. Danielle, thank you for
Yeah.
coming and joining us and sharing your concept, your ideas, last concept, and some of your experiences. It's been really great to hear from you. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.